Welcome to Amanda Hall's Psychic mini workshop series here on Facebook Live that we do them every Wednesday morning at approximately 8:30 a.m. here on Facebook Live all the way from the Gold Coast with Amanda Hall Psychic. This week I'm really excited to talk about the full moon eclipse in Leo. So for those of you that are first-time viewers to the show, welcome. We do this regularly every Wednesday morning directly after my show out of Greenville in the USA on A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV, which you can find here on Facebook and many other forms of social media. So to kick the show off, my name is Amanda Hall Psychic. I live here on the Gold Coast. I've been in the psychic industry for well over 40 years. I was inducted into the Psychic Hall of Fame in 2013 here in Australia, which was voted by my peers. I've won Psychic of the Year for 3 or 4 years in a row now, and that's voted by the public. So I want to thank everybody that's voted for me during that time. It's a very exciting show because you can see here on the set with me behind me, for those viewers that are here in Australia, you know we're coming up for Australia Day on the 26th of January. For those of you that are around the world that don't understand what Australia Day is our national holiday where we celebrate here the day that we invaded this country and took it off the traditional owners, the Aboriginals, and sometimes, excuse me, the Aboriginals here don't look at wanting to celebrate Australia Day as Australia Day. They call it Invasion Day. And I suppose that's very understandable because it was the day that their country was invaded by us white people. And I don't think anything's ever been the same for them since. But I like to look at it in a more inclusive sort of way, that Australia Day is Australia Day for everybody, no matter where you are from around the globe. If you've chosen to call Australia home, we should welcome you with open arms. And, you know, there's many different debates that go on, but my personal belief is if you come to this country to make Australia your home, then you should abide and welcome with open arms what we stand for in this country. And that's freedom of speech and honouring the special days of the year, the anniversaries, the holidays, and things that are important to our culture. Don't come here and try and make us a carbon copy of what you've left behind, because there was reasons why you left that behind, and we don't need that in our culture here. But having said that, we are very inclusive, and we are the sort of country that sort of welcomes change. And, you know, we're not frightened to have a go at someone else's cuisine and sort of look at different ways that people handle different holidays around the world and adapt them and make them our own. So for those of you here in Australia, I hope you're looking forward to the Australia Day celebrations, and that, you know, you're going to throw a lamb chop on the barbie and have a meat pie or a piece of pavlova or a lamington and get out and enjoy the festivities of this amazing country, particularly as we're here in the middle of a heat wave here in Australia, and many people are sort of struggling with the heat. I personally like summer, so, you know, heat waves or no heat waves, it's fine by me. I come alive in the summer. I love the warmth. So, but I know there's a lot of people around the country that feel the exact opposite and are really feeling the heat this year, and it's a real struggle for them, and my heart does go out to them. So anyway, to here today on the show, we're up to workshop number 47. Isn't that amazing how quickly the year's going by, and that we've been here on Facebook Live for all that time. So for those of you that might want to catch up on some of the previous workshops and shows that I've done, I do have an actual Facebook page set up called Workshops and Shows that you'll find the link here in the blurb on this live telecast to be able to go back there and binge watch. And I always upload the latest shows to there every week, just for your convenience, that you can go back. There might be something that you want to go back and look at or listen to again. So this week we're working with the full moon eclipse, and it's a lunar eclipse in Leo, and this happened on the 21st. So for here in Australia, that was yesterday. For our Northern Hemisphere family, it's going to be in the next 24 hours. Now, how do we work with a full moon energy or any sort of moon energy? This is my personal belief. I like to look at 2 days before the full moon. So that would have taken us back to the 19th. 2 days prior to the full moon, then 3 days of the moon energy. Even though the moon energy only goes for about 2.5 days, I allow 3 days, and then 2 days on the decline. So I look at a 7-day cycle when I'm working with a moon energy. Now, the difference between a normal full moon and a lunar eclipse is very different, because the lunar eclipse, in some people's sort of estimation, can go for a very, very long time. I've read things this week where some people are saying 12 months, some people are saying 6 months, some people are saying a month. Look, I think it's a very personal thing. I don't think when the full moon eclipse finishes on the 24th that that's the end of it and we don't feel any energy. Some people will find the energy will go on for a very long period of time and still be influencing their lives in months to come. Other people will find it's finished then for them. So it's a very sort of personal thing. So let's look at what a lunar eclipse is. A lunar eclipse is when when the moon is closest to the earth and the sun. So that forms an eclipse, or where the moon goes into a shadow that we don't see it. We won't be seeing the lunar eclipse here in Australia. You need to be in the northern hemisphere for that. The lunar eclipse this year, anytime we have a full moon at this time of the year, which we do, we have a full moon every month. This time of the year, it's always known as a full moon, a super moon, because it's when the moon is closer to the earth. So this in turn brings about king tides. So every year in January here on the Gold Coast, and probably other parts of the world as well, we have what's known as a king tide, or a tide that's much fuller. That happens twice a year, and it's to do with the super moons. Now, here on the Gold Coast, people are sort of, talking about it on media and TV and things like that as if it's one of these most amazing events that we've never had one before in our lives, and that everybody should be aware of this and, almost get your camera out because you'll never see it again. Well, that's not true. We have them twice a year. It happens every year. So it's something that we just need to adjust to and learn to work with, knowing that the tide is going to be bigger. There's going to be more water about than there normally is. So make sure that you got your vehicles and things like that in a safe place. So it's not something that's out of the ordinary. So when we have an eclipse with a full moon, it means that it's a very powerful time of endings, change and transformation. Eclipses bring sort of like a clap of thunder. They bring, oh, hang on a minute, I've got to stand to attention. I've got to take notice of this. What is it trying to tell me? What is it sharing with me? Why is things changing around me? Anytime we have Leo involved in something, we have a very proud, dramatic way of dealing with things. It's sort of like, here's the world stage, let me get on it. I've got to strut my stuff. I've got to sort of share with you how I'm feeling. I can be very forthright. I can be very bossy. I can be very flamboyant. So it's a time where everything is very exaggerated at the moment. So people's emotions and things like that can be exaggerated. It doesn't matter what their star sign is. Everybody will be affected by this in some form or another. Some people will find that they will have life-changing events. Other people will say, well, nothing much really happened to me at this lunar eclipse. Why was everybody making such a big song and dance about it? My life just sort of went on as it normally did. Well, all that means is that you must be handling your life in the right way, that you really didn't have to have that shock treatment or sort of yank you out of something and make you sort of look at things in a very different way, because you were already doing what you were supposed to be doing. So I'd like to take this opportunity now to welcome everybody here again. My name's Amanda Hall, Psychic. I've been in the industry over 40 years in Australia. Let's get some T's and C's out of the road. Welcome everyone. If you'd like to leave your name in the comments box and say hi, I will personally say hi to you in the next 48 hours. Let's be very clear, this is an educational workshop series only, focusing on the use and working with my soy candles in my soy candle range of 28. It is not a place where I conduct free readings, nor will I ever do free readings in this segment. If you want the opportunity for a free reading, can I suggest that you join me on my previous show here on A1R Psychic Radio on Moonstruck TV out of Greenville in the USA, where I have a half-hour show on a Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. Gold Coast time, which is Eastern Standard Time. And I do conduct 2 free readings as part of that half-hour show. This show here in the workshop series here on Facebook Live is not about that. The only questions, and I stress the only questions I will answer for you free of charge, will be if you have a question relating to the topic that we are discussing in this workshop today. Nothing else will be answered, so please don't be offended. My time is very precious, as yours is, and if I was to take the time to answer everybody's free request, I would get nothing done and I wouldn't be able to sort of cope. So I don't want you to be offended when I say I do not give out free readings. If you're a hairdresser, I can't come down and get a free haircut when I feel like it. And if you're a butcher, I can't come down and get my meat for tea free of charge. So the same thing with psychic work. It is an energy. It needs to be a transfer of energy in the correct fashion. And that is, nothing, you should receive nothing for free unless that person wishes to give it away. And I've chosen not to. I give my services away freely in 2 small readings once a week on A1R Psychic Radio. So I hope you understand that. This is a teaching workshop. This is not about free readings. So let's get back to the topic at hand. So the full moon lunar eclipse in Leo. If you are a Leo, you have a Leo ascendant or rising sign, or you have the moon in your astrology chart at your birth, known as your natal chart, with the moon in Leo, then the full moon Leo eclipse will affect you more than other signs, purely just because Leo is very dominant in your chart. It does not mean that every person that has the Leo influence in the ways that I mentioned, being, you know, a Leo ascendant or Leo moon in their chart, doesn't mean that they're all going to have the epiphany moment and have some great things happening to them. It just means that you've got more chance of it. So when we have a full moons make everybody a bit titchy, and people sort of say, oh, I can't sleep and I can't eat and I can't do this and I can't do that. Some people are affected by it and other people just sail through it. Some people believe it's the time that they go and cleanse their crystals. I'm not an expert on that, and I will not give any information on that because I really don't know. I'm not a crystal person in that way. Yes, I think they're lovely, but they're not something that I work with. So I would suggest, if you need further advice on that, find somebody that is their expertise. It's certainly not mine. But I do know anytime that there's a full moon around, people seem to sort of, emotions run very hot. People tend to have less patience than they do at any other time of the month. And there's certain full moons of the year that seem to make people a little bit more crazy or a little bit more unbalanced than normal. And one of those is the full moon in Leo. And the reasons for that is because it's in such a dramatic, theatrical sort of sign. I think we notice it more because people absorb themselves in their own drama. It's the time when they don't get their own way. They throw a temper tantrum to get the attention, to get themselves back on the front page, to get everybody to notice them and to sort of understand that their needs are very important and they need to be sort of heard like right now. So it doesn't always have to be. I mean, you know, the full moon in Leo can be also a time when you're able to sort of get out there and structure stuff in a very positive sort of way, that by being a very calm, nice sort of person and getting attention in the right way is the correct way to work with the energy. Anytime we have a full moon, I like to suggest to people it's a time when we've got to release or let go of something. Now, these may be things that we've come to a completion, things that we've done in our lives that we're now ready to release to the universe and say, thank you very much, I've learnt that lesson, or I'm ready to release that. So I like to work with threes, as minimum of 3. So I write 3 things on a piece of paper that I want to release. And I would also be looking to write 3 things on a piece of paper that I would like to draw towards me in this new full moon lunar eclipse in Leo. So when we're working with lists like this, I want you to make 2 identical lists. And the reasons why we do that is when we start to work with candles and candle magic, we need to be able to put the list underneath the candle. So we would read out the list out aloud to the universe, pop it under the candle, go to light our candle. With these extra large ones, they have 2 wicks. So I'd light 1 wick one day and 1 wick the next day. As I've already discussed with you, I like to work on a 7-day cycle of the moon. So I would be lighting this candle for approximately 15 minutes to 2 hours per day, bearing in mind what I'm sending out to the universe that I wish to achieve with this full moon lunar eclipse. I would then also, with my second list, read it out aloud, pop it under my full moon candle. Again, the same principle as apply with the dual wick system. I would pop that underneath, popping the candle on a coaster, never directly onto the furniture because the glass container itself can get hot, but the actual soy wax doesn't get hot, but the glass container can get hot. So we don't want to scorch the furniture that you may be placing it on. So again, we'd be lighting that for 15 minutes to 2 hours a day, but please make sure that you babysit your candles. You never leave a flame unattended. It is fire after all. So it's something that you need to be focused on. Now, in that time, you can use that as your meditation time. You can use that as the time there where you're able to sort of sit there and just focus on what you're bringing into your life, what's going on in the next few days, the next week, the next few months, and use that time as a time to sort of do a little bit of daydreaming and manifestation. So for those of you that don't actually want to sit there or haven't got the room for 2 extra large candles but still want to work with the full moon energy, can I suggest to you our gift box set? Now this one I've made up this week has got 2 fire sign candles and a full moon candle in the middle, but you can choose any 3 from the range of 28 that we have in our range and pop them into your little gift box set. These candles will burn for approximately 15 hours each. These are great for traveling or for people that have a small area or only want to work with a small candle, want to set up a designated spot where they do their little bit of meditation and their little bit of daydreaming on a daily basis. So for those of you that don't want to work with fire at all but want to still work with the full moon energy and the fire sign energy, can I suggest to you grab yourself a melt warmer when you're down at the local supermarket or department store. They retail for about $15 here in Australia. And how you work with this is they have a little tray on the top, and the first day of working with your melt warmer and your wax, I want you to take 2 teaspoons out of your candle, pop them in the melt warmer. And melt warmer is a great idea because you can use the same principle, write your list out, read it out aloud, pop it underneath the melt warmer. Always putting your melt warmer on a coaster. I think it's a great habit to get into, that nothing goes directly on the furniture. Plug it in, turn it on at the electricity. You can leave that safely going while you're there all day. And this is something that I probably work with personally more myself now than candles, because I can do that, read my list out aloud, turn it on and walk away and leave it. I have one going in my dining room with what the energy I'm working with for the week. And I have a secondary one in my office where I have protection soy wax going. When every time I work on a psychic area, I turn it on, I add new wax to it daily on my protection side so that my work is always protected. So that's just, another suggestion for you. But we're here today and we are talking about the full moon lunar eclipse in Leo. So for those of you that sort of think to yourself, well, okay, why is there such a fuss about a lunar eclipse? What does it mean? Well, the lunar eclipse is a time, as we've talked about, where the sun overshadows the moon and the moon seems to disappear and we don't see it. We're not going to see that here in Australia. But from an astrological point of view, what it means is that it's a time when things can happen very suddenly in our lives. Things that sort of happen with the snap of the fingers are like a bolt of lightning. And we think, where did that come from? And I know a lot of people have written about how powerful this particular lunar eclipse is going to be, and it is the last one for the year. Can I say to you, if you have things that are offered to you around this time of the lunar eclipse, make sure that you really understand what's being offered to you. It may be a new job offer and you think, oh, wow, this is fantastic, and yes, I'll take it. But you haven't really given it any research or any thought, or even sat down and analysed and looked at how this is going to impact on your life. I want you to be very clear that you don't just get carried away with the exciting emotion of, oh, wow, somebody's offered me this. Isn't this great? It's stroking my ego. We need to look at how this actually fits into our lives, and do we really want it? So it's something that just because it's offered to you doesn't necessarily mean that we've got to take it. So particularly with it being in Leo, the eclipse will affect Leos, obviously, more importantly. People that have a rising sign of Leo or the moon in Leo in their natal or birth chart. But it will also filter through on a secondary level to any of the fire signs, which is Sagittarius and Aries. But it will affect each and every star sign. No matter who you are, in some effect, you will feel this lunar eclipse. We had a solar eclipse back earlier in the month, which people sort of were really affected by that. I had lots of questions to answer for people at why they were feeling the way that they did. So I want to just sort of suggest to you, just ease into this. We are in the midst of the eclipse at the moment, so it might be that you are feeling a bit twitchy. You might be feeling a little bit cranky. You don't want to necessarily talk to anybody. You want to sort of be in your own thoughts while you straighten things out. It may be a time when things come to a head, where things that you've been working on for a very long time, you can finally see the progress and things coming to fruition, and you say, wow, this is amazing. Some people will get job offers. Some people will find the friction and the tension that's been in a relationship comes to the surface, and we need to now deal with it. It's not the time to tell somebody exactly what you think of them, because you might not know when to stop. It is a time when I think we need to be very clear on communication. But we also need to be very mindful of other people that have feelings and may not see things quite the same way as you do. As you're delivering this message in a very proud, dramatic, loud, bombastic sort of way, they might feel quite intimidated and quite upset and feel that you don't even consider their thoughts or their feelings at all. So be very careful in that sort of way. Some people are sort of, saying it's one of the most amazing times of the year where so many things can happen. Yes, they can happen, but not everybody on the planet is going to have something amazing happen to them. Some people will just breeze through this as if it was just another time of the year and nothing happened in any way. And those people, I can say, well, you're right on your path. You didn't need somebody to come and give you a bit of a shake and say, hey, what about this? You're actually doing it intuitively and you're right on cue for where you need to be. So I want you to be very careful of what you voice over the next week, because people are going to be more sensitive than usual. The other most important thing happening astrologically at the moment is every single planet and luminary is going forward. There's no retrograde planets at the moment, which is amazing, which means every planet's doing its job to the best of its ability and everything is very clear and easy to see. Some people will have some major decisions to be made at this time. So I want you to take the time to not rush them. If you're not on a timetable or a deadline, then leave it for another week or two until the energies settle down and you sort of feel as if you're more in control and more in the driver's seat. So for those of you that might like to book a personal reading with me, please head to my website, amandahallpsychic.com.au. When you're at the checkout, type in the word in capital letters Facebook, and you will receive a little discount there. That applies to any of our courses and products and readings over at amandahallpsychic.com.au. And while you're there, don't forget to sign up for our free newsletter, and that will give you a free astrology chart that we can email to you anywhere in the world. So I'd like to take this opportunity again to thank you for joining us again this week. In my blurb details there, you will find the Facebook page that's set up if you want to go back and binge watch some of the previous shows from our shows and our workshop series. Next week on the show, we will be working with the candle called meditation. Now, I know meditation is one of those words that sort of brings horror to some people's faces, and they say, I just can't meditate. I just don't know how to do it. Well, why don't you tune in next week and find out for some of the tips and tricks of ways to meditate for those people that are in a hurry. And I'm certainly one of those. I didn't have an hour to sit there and meditate under a pyramid. So until next week, enjoy Australia Day wherever you are in this amazing globe of ours, but particularly my Aussie family here. Enjoy the day. Embrace what it means to you and embrace what it means to be a nation, that we are inclusive, we do love and respect each other, and we respect the right to have freedom of speech in this country. Until next week, bye for now.